Hello everyone, my name is Creepy, and welcome to the Draft League Q&A episode 16. Today I have Merc.
What's up, y'all? I'm Merc, or MR.MURKROW, coach of the Burger Kingler and San Francisco Red Giants in a whole bunch of leagues, including the National Pokeball League. How you doing?
Okay, so let's jump right into it. So how and when did you start to play the Draft League format?
All right, so this goes back all the way to the end of X and Y. Um, there was this old PokeTuber called Anima and another one called Dynamic Kush, and together they started a league. It was called I think it was called the Pokemon Champions League or something like that. Right at the end of X and Y, and it was a little interesting. It was kind of a league you applied to and like sent a few battle replays to them, and they chose people from that. So that I started in that league, and yeah, right at the end of X and Y. That was really bad, but it was a lot of fun. It got me into it, and from there, I just started joining more leagues.
Nice. So what are your accomplishments in the Draft League format?
My accomplishments are I've won 3 league championships, and I got second place in the Brawl for All, where I got hacked out of the championship game. So almost 4 championships, but definitely those were really good. And just being able to make it into the NPL after a lot of work is definitely an accomplishment in itself.
Okay, so what was your best season in any league or tournament you've been in?
My best season was definitely GPC Season 5, which is when I drafted the core of Mega Venusaur, Gastrodon, and Clefable. That team was really, really good, and it led me to my first league championship. I had really good offense and really good defense, and it was just the perfect team.
Okay, so what was your best draft ever?
Well, funny you asked that because it was that draft. I can probably just go off of it from memory. The draft was Clefable, Mega Venusaur, Heatran, Lucario, Thundersterian, Donphan, Sneasel, Escavalier, Licky Licky, and I think that was it. It was a really good team. I loved that team. By far the best I've ever had.
Like, sounds like a pretty good team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just capitalized everything that I like in draft.
Okay, so when you start a new league, how do you play in draft? What are the most important parts in a good draft? What makes a bad draft a bad draft?
Okay, so some of the most important things about drafting are your planning and also the adaptability behind it. The first thing I try and focus on is getting a few good core mons at the beginning, either having really good offensive, defensive synergy, or both. I definitely try and focus on drafting around a core and then really supporting that. Other things to note is having plenty of hazard options. Definitely want 2 or 3 stealth rockers. Reliable spike setter is really important because spikes are one of the most dominating hazards in the league and in Pokemon in general. And overall, it's just good to have draft synergy. You want to get your basic types down. Like, you don't need to go for the cookie cutter Fire, Water, Grass, Fairy, Dragon, Steel, but just having a team that covers all of its bases is really nice. And as far as a bad draft, if you're drafting things that do kind of the same thing or just things that overlap each other, like have a lot of the same speed tiers, or your team's way too slow or even way too fast without much bulk, then that can really wreck you. You just kind of have to go for balance. I like to have a team that can do anything at any time. You can go anywhere from running a stall team to hyper offense. You have hazard setters. You can just do anything with it. Versatility is also a really key thing. If you have a one-dimensional team, it makes it a lot harder to prep, and it makes it a lot easier for opponents to predict what you have in prep for you.
Ah, okay. So what is the most overrated Pokemon in a draft league format?
For me or for in general?
In general.
The most avoided Pokemon. I'd have to
Oh,
go with Chansey.
no,
Oh,
it's not avoided. It's overrated. I'm sorry.
oh, overrated. Okay, most overrated Mon. Let me think about that for a second. I'm gonna have to look through the tier list for a moment. there's quite a few mons that I think are really overrated. I think stuff like Excadrill can be pretty overrated since like Sand Excadrill is good, but it's not like an amazing mon. Lando T without Z moves. Anyone who thinks like Mega Sableye is good is wrong, and that's a big overrated one. Aside from that, I think from what I can pull off my head right now, there aren't too many mons that are like grossly overrated. Though I would like to see people stop drafting Infernape in round one. I guess that'd be the biggest overrated mon.
Okay, so what is the most underrated?
The most underrated. Well, it's really going underrated is it's hard to determine what that is. It depends on the tiers and stuff. Some of my favorite underrated mons, though, Sneasel is always close to my heart. I really like having that thing on drafts. Scolipede is an absolute tyrant. You can get this thing pretty cheap in a lot of leagues, and it's one of the hardest mons to beat. I'd say that's one of the most underrated out of the really good higher echelon of mons.
Okay, so what is your favorite Pokemon to use in a draft league format?
My favorite mon, easily Tyranitar. Oh, actually, scratch that. I gotta go with Clefable. I'm sorry, T-Tar, but I've had Clef in a lot of drafts, and it's just so reliable. It does everything well, and it's just a good glue for any single team.
You're not the first person to say Clefable. Then you are.
I bet Jolt said it too.
I think no. Jolt said Diggersby as the most underrated, Victini as the most overrated. About his favorite Pokemon, I think it was Clefable. I can't remember.
It was definitely Clefable. Knowing Jolt, we're two birds of a feather there.
Okay. So, what is your proudest accomplishment?
My poorest accomplishment? Or
Proudest.
proudest?
Proudest.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
mm.
My accent is very bad.
Don't worry about it. My proudest accomplishment, definitely winning my first league, taking the GPC title and beating Shoddy, I believe, I was 0-2 at that point against Shoddy. That was definitely a big one for me. It took me a very, very long time to get my first title, but that really sprung me to greater heights, I feel like.
Okay, so who is the best player you have ever fought?
Gypsy King. Gypsy is just so good. He's pretty hard to beat. I've gotten close, but even on my best days, he's pretty unreachable. So definitely him. And his record just shows he's won 2 straight NPL titles, which is unbelievable.
Okay, so you're the 12th person to say it.
That makes sense.
Like, I have this list of people that said it's 16 episodes. It's 12 for Gypsy, 2 for Maribolic, 1 for Zazo, and 1 for one for Kelly.
That's funny because I tossed Kelly on his neck in my first league in draft format, so a little fun thing there.
Okay, what league you want to be in the most?
Well, I'm already in it in the National Pokeball League. At one point I probably wanted to be in the GBA, but not my cup of tea. NPL is just a fantastic league. It's got a lot of competition, and the brotherhood within the league is really fun. That's why I really like it.
Nice. So it's like this. It's again something like 12 for NPL. You and Jolt said, apart from the NPL, GBA, and I think there's
Yeah. I can imagine a lot of people would say GBA.
yeah, there's like NPL is first, GBA second. I need to start counting that. That interests me. Okay, so who is the best player in the draft league format, in your opinion?
In my opinion, the best. There's no doubt right now it's Gypsy. I would say
13 to Gypsy.
Yeah. If Zaza was still playing, or if Maddie wasn't drafting a meme team this season, I think it would be a three-way tie between those two, or between those three. But Gypsy is the one who's going at it right now, and like he's still the best in the game.
That's 13 for Gypsy. That's crazy.
Yeah. He's just the king.
Yeah. I'm interviewing Maddie next in
Okay.
so it will be
Nice.
very interesting to hear what he thinks of Gypsy.
He might say himself. That'd be fun.
Like, I won't blame him. He's actually that good.
Yeah. Maddie's a tough one.
Okay, last question. Do you have any tips for new draft league player?
Any tips for new draft league player? Yep. Some of the first tips I'd go into. Let's think about this for a second. Draft mons that you're comfortable using. Understand how team building works and understand draft synergy. Like, don't stack the same things over and over. Make sure that you can cover all your bases. Make sure you can get hazards from multiple mons, just so you don't have to rely on one thing to do the same job every single time. Make sure that you have some form of hazard removal that's not absolutely horrible. And most of all, don't be afraid to ask for help. Asking the better players in the league or your friends to test with you is like the only way to get better. I wasn't very good at the beginning, but I had friends along the way that helped me and gave me tips and got me to the point where I was today, where I can be pretty efficient on my own.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll leave your link down below. Make sure you subscribe to him. If you want to see more videos like it, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. This has been Squippy, and I'm out. Goodbye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.